Yo, what is up guys? It is Bumfris, back with episode 71 of our Reddit series. This one's going to be some I Don't Work Here Lady, and I have a feeling you're going to love this one. Off the top of my head, this is only the second time we've done this, but I had an overwhelming amount of requests for it, so I really do think you guys are going to enjoy. I've got some really good posts, so let's get right into it. All you need to do is sit back, relax, and enjoy the video. I've been debating posting this for a while, and finally decided that it does kind of belong here. About 6 years ago, I worked at a retirement home, giving the residents a mock dining experience. Myself and the other waitstaff would help bring in residents and head up serving to tables of 4 or 5 people. They would often sit together in their own groups, but unless they were volatile, we'd seat them together to keep people company and to keep service times down. We'd give them a super simplified menu with 2 specials of the day, a soup of the day, and various retirement essentials like prune juice available for those that needed them. It wasn't the easiest job I've ever had, but it was really spiritually fulfilling, and I made friends with many of the residents during my time there, and even quietly attended one of their funerals. Let me tell you, you'd be very surprised how little you know about somebody who you thought you knew until you're at their funeral and their family starts to talk about their life. I quit after a while to pursue new jobs, but one of my great aunts was sent to respite care after a surgery, and so I visited her to keep her company. As luck would have it, she went to receive care for a month-long stay in the same retirement home that I used to work at. A lot of the old residents still remembered me, and a couple of the kitchen staff were still the same, and even let me steal some of the godlike cookies that they needed to throw out. They were cooked on site, and I never had anything like them, and likely never will again. I made sure my aunt knew where all the activities were, which ones she could do for free, and which were worth paying for, and then sat in on dinner to keep her company. This is when our incident happened. After the waitress had taken our order, I excused myself to use the restroom. On my way back, I had my arm caught by a lady, and we'll call her Carol. Carol says, "I'm ready to order, lovey." I was a bit caught off guard, but I quickly realized what was going on. As I said, I've worked here before, and so she seemed to expect that I'd take her order. I told her that I'm sure they'll be by soon, and I don't have this section anymore. So she let go of my arm, and I scurried back to my table. Carol seemed really confused and distraught. I heard the other people at her table trying to explain what happened to her, but everything seemed fine for a couple of minutes. Then, she started crying. I felt a bit upset, but I can't do anything, so I just let it happen and tried not to let it distract me, and I talked with my aunt a little bit more. A few minutes passed, and her waiter came by to take the orders, starting with the person on her right and going clockwise around the table until they got to Carol, who was still crying, and we'll call her waiter Dave. Dave says to Carol, "And what can I get you today?" And Carol says, "You're not my waiter." Dave, looking a bit confused, says, well, I'll be taking your order today." And at this point, Carol gets upset and starts shouting. She then shouts at Dave, "You're not my waiter. She always serves us." Dave, still looking confused, says, Carol, I've been serving you all year. Remember? I don't think we've ever had a lavuli on our staff." Carol still doesn't understand and yells, "How dare you lie to me? They served me just last night. They always serve me." And Dave decides to change tactics and says, "Well, Lavuli is sick tonight, so she can't make it in today. May I please get you your food?" At this point, something just kind of clicked with me. Carol is having none of it and refusing service, and I excuse myself from the table and quietly come over and tap Dave on the shoulder. He turned around, looked confused, and I just kind of plucked his book out of his hand and walked up to the table, while he just stood there alarmed and clearly unsure if he should punch me in the face or find out what is going on. I say to Carol, sorry about that, Carol. I'll help you out. We're serving item 1 and item 2 today, but for you, we'll always have smiles as well." And Carol says, "See? I knew she was still here. Now, this is what I'm gonna order." After I finished taking that, I just quietly gave Dave back her book and asked if the kitchen supervisor was still the same guy. It was, so I told Dave to tell him what happened and to come get me when it was time to bring Carol her meal. It turns out, Carol had recently started to lose track of time, and while they weren't sure yet if it was Alzheimer's, dementia, or something else, she just started demanding recently to talk to the staff that no longer worked there, staff that never existed, and family members and friends that they didn't know about. The supervisor came by a bit later and quietly checked if I still had food handler certification so he could feel safe letting me handle the delivery of her food, and the staff thanked me for helping with the situation by comping my meal. I still think of Carol sometimes, and I often wonder if what I did was actually right, or if it might have made the situation harder to handle for them in the future. I'm still not sure I honestly did the right thing at all, and I didn't work there anymore, but for Carol, I worked wherever she thought I did. I can just about guarantee that not a single person watching this video was expecting this to be a wholesome post, let alone a post where somebody actually ends up getting helped out. You know, sometimes I feel like you guys think that I intentionally go and pick out the worst posts. Honestly, I just pick out the ones I think are the most entertaining, and quite frankly, it's nice to see a post like this every so often. I guess all we need is more people to post them, then the whole channel can just be wholesome content. So I've worked at Walmart for 3 years, and I never experienced any of the rude customers or general craziness associated with Walmart. Well, it's my day off, and I happen to get sick to the stomach. I've already thrown up twice, so my mum decides to take me to Walmart and get the things that I need to get better. She insisted that I just stay in bed while she gets things, but she often got the wrong things, so I decided to go get them myself. Big mistake. When we arrived, we started to get our things and tried to get out as fast as possible since I was starting to feel really bad. When we were on our way to the checkout, this woman stops us. I recognized her since she was there the day before when I was working, and she started to ask me about stuff, and I have to tell her that I wasn't working today. She huffed and just said, "You can still help me out. All I want to know is where the dog food is." So I point her in the direction of the dog food and try to get out of there because my stomach was really starting to hurt. She stops me again and says that she's already looked over there and she couldn't find it, so just come and show her. My mum tells the lady that I'm sick and I don't have time to go with her and just find somebody else to help her. She tells my mum to shut up and looks back at me and says, "It'll just be a few minutes, come on and help me find it." My mum tells this woman to back off and leave me alone, but the woman is insistent that I help her. Just then, it feels like somebody has grabbed my stomach and started squeezing as I started to throw up. Unfortunately for the lady, I'd been facing her and threw up all over her pants and shoes. She screamed, but it wasn't stopping and I kept going. She'd backed up after I started and was screaming for a manager. My mum was holding me when I tried to stop, but the pain in my stomach was too much and I just kept going. One of the cashiers saw what was going on and immediately radioed for a manager and a custodian. One of the managers comes over and sees the mess and the lady is crying to him about how I puked all over her. My mum tells him that I was trying to leave, but the lady wouldn't let me. The manager takes her to the back and the cashier, who I'm friends with, takes me outside and sits with me while my mum goes and pays for the stuff. I honestly didn't mean to throw up on her, but as soon as it started coming up, I couldn't stop it. I felt really bad for the custodian who had to clean up my throw up, and I feel bad for the lady since I hate throwing up and I can only imagine how it feels to have someone throw up on you. I'm also dreading the day that I have to go back, since I know that this story is going to spread like wildfire. Surprisingly enough, the lady ended up admitting it was her fault since she kept me there when I clearly needed to get out of there. Everything is okay now, but man, that was the most embarrassing moment of my life. So my first day back since this happened, and my coworkers heard about this story, but didn't know the whole context. I told them everything that happened and they thought it was hilarious and were on my side. They said that the lady was being a bad person, not their words, but I'm not going to repeat what they said, and that she deserved it. We all had a good laugh about it, and it wasn't that bad. The next time the maintenance guy was in, I went up to him and apologized for the throw up, and he said it was no big deal. To make it up to him, I'm gonna take him to lunch. Everything seems back to normal now, so I guess I can put the incident behind me. I think I can say this probably on behalf of anyone who's ever had a retail job, but this person really has nothing to be embarrassed about, right? Whether you've been in hospitality or retail, at some point there's been somebody who's tried to get your attention when you're either off shift, on lunch, or something like that. But seriously, everyone gets sick, this lady was the one at fault, so this dude has nothing to worry about at all with his co-workers or anyone else for that matter. Oh, also, for those with weak stomachs, there is vomiting in this story, but I think I might be a little bit too late on that. I work for a large supermarket chain in the UK with an easily identifiable blue uniform. A few weeks ago, my mum asked me to get her something. I think it was shampoo and conditioner, which was quite expensive, and I get a colleague discount, so I was happy to get it for her. Turns out, we didn't have the one she wanted in our store, so I offered to go to another branch and get them after my shift. I show up and find the health and beauty aisle and find the shampoo, then turn to pay and leave when a woman approaches me asking me where she could find a certain type of feminine hygiene product. I explained to her that I didn't work at this store, but I would be happy to go to the customer service desk for her and ask for a colleague to help her find what she's looking for. Unsurprisingly, she doesn't take too kindly to this. She began to raise her voice, calling me immature and telling me to grow up, as well as telling me that I shouldn't be employed if I can't be mature in these circumstances. I returned fire by calmly explaining again that I do not work at that branch and show her my clocking card which shows the name and location of my branch that I actually work in, which obviously she refuses to believe and demands that I follow her to the customer service desk to get a manager. We reach the customer service desk and the woman angrily demands a manager to the girl behind the desk. And the duty manager to the customer service desk calls through the tannoy and I wait patiently. The woman was not. The manager arrives and to my pleasant surprise used to work with me at my branch before he got a better job at the store we're in. He greets me and then is interrupted by the woman complaining about how unprofessional I am. The manager explains to the woman the exact same thing I had twice and the woman unhappily leaves in search of her tampons. No big crash ending, but I still find myself having a laugh about it weeks later. I can't get over how these people, who let's be honest are most likely entitled parents as well, don't accept when somebody tells them that they don't work there. Like, what level of entitlement must you have to be such a horrible human being that you don't believe somebody when they tell you that they don't work at a store? Seriously, learn to be a functioning member of society or just never leave your house again. You're literally wasting everybody's time. I think maybe this one got me a little bit heated, but my point still stands. So, I lost my job 2 weeks ago and my old boss keeps texting me insisting that I do work. At first, I responded politely, explaining I can't help anymore because I don't have access to the relevant systems, and also, I'm not an employee anymore. I have a new job and I'm busy. I then cut the conversation short as the boss was a nightmare to work for when I was there and didn't want to get into it with him then. I was laid off because apparently my role was no longer required, and I left a great hangover log and was super thorough in handing everything over. I gave my boss plenty of opportunities to fact find from me because I was on notice since October last year, so there is no way that they still needed my help. Not only that, I got utterly shafted with severance pay, and despite being in a great position to help me, this boss wouldn't lift a finger to make my situation better. I literally don't work here, lady. Stop texting me. I've seen a few choosing beggar stories that are quite similar to this, and in each of them there are so many comments suggesting that the person just starts charging them for their time. And honestly, I think this is a really good example where they should be doing that. The next time the boss messages them, just say, hey, I'm happy to help out, but I'll be doing it for $150 an hour, nothing less. If you're not happy with that, well, maybe you shouldn't have fired me in the first place. This happened many years ago and I was shopping at Target with my 8-year-old. To keep him occupied, I kept giving him items to price check, and mind you, he was young and little. I noticed an older woman approach him with an item and he took her to the scanner and shown her how to check a price. A little later on, in a different part of the store, she saw him and called him over with another item. Again, he went over to her and price checked it. This happened a couple more times and he was never out of my eyesight. As we were leaving, the store manager came up to us and said the woman complimented his staff on their politeness and my son got a $5 gift card. Wholesome at the start and wholesome at the end. I guess I'm a changed man. There's really not much to say about this one, but it's a little bit cute, right? Alright everyone, that is that for today's episode of r/IDon'tWorkHereLady. I just want to start off by saying thank you so much for watching and I hope you enjoyed the video. I really do hope you guys enjoyed the different subreddit. It's not entitled parents and it's not something we've done much. Like I said at the start of the video, I think it is only the second time we've done it, but I really do hope you guys liked it and make sure to let me know in the comments below. But yeah, like I've said in the last couple of days, I'm pretty keen to expand into different things, mix things up, mess around with the channel a little bit and make sure that I'm creating fresh, exciting content because I don't want it to get stale. I don't want to upload 100 episodes of Entitled Parents and then next thing you know, everyone's just sick of it and nobody really wants that, right? So I'll experiment with different things, just try and see what you guys are enjoying and what you guys don't like. So yeah, all the feedback you guys have been giving is awesome. I've read pretty much every comment you guys have put on my videos the last couple of days, and I really do appreciate that you guys are taking the time to give me a little bit of feedback and some tips on what I can do moving forward. There have been a lot of comments saying as long as I'm still talking over the videos, so whether that's commentaries or whether that's maybe like a reaction video, I don't know, but we've been getting a lot of suggestions and like I said, I really appreciate it, but I'll just experiment and see what you guys like. But otherwise, I am going to let that wrap things up for today's video. I just want to say again, thank you so much for watching. I hope you're all having a fantastic day, and I'll see you all tomorrow for another episode of Entitled Parents. Bye.